Hey Fae folk, welcome back to another doll tournament video. Today we're going to be taking a look at winter dolls. So if you're unfamiliar with this concept of video, I have done two of them so far. We've done pajamas and then we've also done swim dolls. And it's basically where I take a common theme, again today is winter, and I take a look at different brands who have introduced doll lines that fit that theme, and I set up like a little tournament style bracket, and then through a series of polls in my community tab, you guys vote and figure out which one is the best, and we crown a winner for the top brand who has done just the best in that theme. So yes, we are doing winter today. We have 6 contestants to get through, so let's just go ahead and get to introducing them. Hi, Miss Weiss. She's here. She's present. She probably won't jump up on the dining room table. She almost never does that. But my cat is here and she is happy to be interacting with you guys. Anyway, first contestant up for today is LOL OMG's Winter Chill line, which it's fine. I don't think that these are necessarily bad dolls, but a couple of you guys in the comments as we were going through like the voting process did also echo a sentiment that I share, and that it's definitely not necessarily a super cohesive line. Like, they are technically all from the same lineup, but they don't really share any features, and they don't necessarily, to me, feel like they're from the same lineup, if that makes sense. Going left to right, I don't know the names. I'm so bad with the OMG names. But I want to like the first one because cat themes, except I really just don't like the mixing of animal prints in this one. I've talked about her a few times on the channel before. Then next up, I would say the second one is definitely the least wintry. Like, she's included because she's part of the lineup, so she kind of has to be, but I don't know. I don't think she's an ugly doll. I just would not call her like a winter themed doll. The next one, kind of similar vibes. I almost get a little bit more fall from this. I think it's like the colors and the like check pattern, the plaid makes me feel a little bit more fallish than it does make me feel wintry, but that also could just be me. And then the last one is, to me, the most wintry one. I do like her hair. I think that's a really cute color, and I love that we have a big poofy hat too, because I just think it's fun sometimes. Like, it can be hard to struggle with balancing volume and design, but sometimes it is kind of just fun to have big poofy hair, big poofy hat. Like, it is kind of a vibe. Not the biggest fan of the snowsuit, but like, it is definitely on theme. So that is the entry for LOL OMG. Our next contestants were the Winter Break Rainbow High. I always mix up the two winter lines, but it's Winter Break is this one, and then Winter Wonderland did not feature in this video because if you've seen the others, when I go through these, if a line or if a brand has multiple lines that fit the theme, I generally go with the first one. So this was Rainbow High's first winter lineup. So that is what we are looking at, which in my opinion is good. I think this is the better out of the two. Looking at the individual dolls, I do own the Poppy and the Jade from this lineup, so I do like them. Generally speaking, I don't like their more wintry outfits. These dolls did come with 2 outfits, and one of them is much more like active gear winter. Like, you can see in this one, Ruby is sort of like in her jacket, in her snowsuit, like she's ready to actually put that snowboard to use. And then they had kind of a more casual one. I do tend to like the more casual looks just because that's more of like the vibe that I go for in dolls, but I do appreciate that we got both outfits, and also the fact that each doll did come with a snowboard or skis. I think that's really, really super. And honestly, while I only own 2 out of the 6 set, that's a terrible way to put that. Even though I only own 2 out of the 6 dolls from this lineup, I do think overall this was fairly well designed. Like, I think that they all had something to like. So I'm showing my hand early and showing that Rainbow High is going to be one of my favorites here. Next up, we had the Mermaze Winter Chill line, one of only 2 lines that was super widely distributed and 3 lines that Mermaze ever got total. I really liked these. These actually did turn my opinion around on Mermaze, because like after the first round, I was kind of like, I want to like these, but I don't. I love these. I have 2 of these dolls. Honestly, low-key, like I probably could have gotten a third. They have glitter tails, so y'all know me. I love anything sparkly. Of course, I'm gonna like the glitter tails. I also just think it's like a more fun gimmick to me personally than when we got in the first line of Mermaze. So the 2 I have are the 2 that are furthest to the right, and I do just love them dearly. The clothing is like very high quality and really, really nice. The hair is so long and luxurious. Like, these are solid dolls. I hold Mermaze in much higher regard now that they're gone, which it does tend to happen. But I really think that they were coming on to something with this line, and I just think that they didn't have the opportunity to soar the way that they needed to. But we're supposed to be focusing on this line. Sorry, I blabbed too much. I really like this lineup. I think it's super solid. Next, from Ever After High, we have the Fairest on Ice line, which is also one of 2 winter lines from Ever After High, but thankfully this is the first one because personally, I like the other one, Epic Winter, significantly less. The dolls had like a much lower budget by the time that Epic Winter came out, so I was really glad that we got to showcase Fairest on Ice personally. This is a bit of like a different take on winter. So far, we've seen a lot of sort of casual to more like active sort of winter gear, whereas this is very much focused on ice skating. And I really do like that. I think it's really cute. I like that they all come with their skates. They all feel very like ethereal and frosty and just whimsical. I think that Ashlyn is probably my personal favorite. And then Poppy is probably my least favorite. So favorite, if you're not familiar with the names, my favorite is the one on the left and my least favorite is the one on the far right. I just, with Poppy's hair, I never could get behind like the purple streak with the ginger. It just never really worked for me. And I really like Ashlyn's dress. I think the colors are really beautiful. Also, Duchess, the middle character, she is gorgeous as well. I just think for me, she doesn't stand out quite as much as Ashlyn. But overall, I really do think this is a solid line. I feel like this is a line that's very fondly remembered by Ever After High enthusiasts. So another good entry. Only 2 more contestants to get through. Next up, we are looking at the Chillin' Outline for My Scene, which I have to keep it real. I don't like this. I don't know why. I can't really figure out what it is that is turning me off from them, because objectively, like, they're doing the same sort of thing that Rainbow High did much later. Like, they have snowboards or skis, which I think is a really, really fun touch. I like getting like those sort of bigger winter accessories. I do think that that's really nice. And I like individual pieces of each of the outfits. I think it's more just looking at them in totality. Nothing stands out to me. Like, I look at them and nothing feels necessarily that special. Of course, this is just my opinion. Like, obviously, we'll find out if you guys agreed or not. But I don't think that they're bad dolls inherently. I just look at them and I feel like my eyes just glaze over. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, those are dolls. Move on to the next one. They aren't exciting to me. I can't tell you what it is. There's just a certain spark that I feel like they're missing. So they're not really holding my attention. And then the last contestant for today is the Bratz Wintertime Wonderland line, which is very much the opposite, but also so similar to my scene, which I think is just so funny to say. If you know, I am kind of like in my Bratz era. I'm feeling very connected to Bratz dolls at the current moment. So it might just be my current bias showing, because I feel like they have a similar vibe as my scene, which makes sense. Like, they were kind of direct competitors, my scene and Bratz. There's just something about these that feels better. To be fair, it could even just be the quality of the photos. Like, unfortunately, I don't own any of these dolls from My Scene or Bratz, so I can't tell you in person how they feel. So maybe it's just that this is like a better quality photo, so it looks better to me. But I just feel like the outfits look a little bit more interesting. I feel like the quality looks maybe a little bit better or a little bit more intricate. I like the frosty makeup and everything that they've got going on. Like, I don't know. I honestly think a lot of it is just the Bratz bias that I currently have, but I think this whole lineup is super cute. If I had to pick a favorite, I mean, Sasha's looking really cute. I think that blue color is fabulous on her. So yeah, probably Sasha would be my favorite, but I do like all of them. So those are all of the contestants that we are working with for today. Then as far as how I paired them up, obviously I paired up Bratz Wintertime Wonderland with My Scene Chillin' Out for the first round of brackets. I kind of have to. Like, again, they are brands that were competing with each other when they were both like kind of in their heyday. And it just feels right to pair them up in that way. Then I also wanted to compare Winter Break from Rainbow High with Winter Waves from Mermaze. They were like more recent winter lines. I feel like these came out in a relatively similar time span. And so like that was a good reason to put them together. I also just feel like they had sort of comparable levels of detail. Given the fact that Bratz and My Scene were out, like I could have made the argument that I should have put My Scene and Rainbow High together because they both came with like the ski snowboards. But I wanted to put Bratz and My Scene together. So then it was like, okay, looking at these, I feel as though Winter Break and Winter Waves have similar levels of detail. So that feels like a more fair pairing to put them up with, which means that by default, then Ever After High's Fairest on Ice and OMG's Winter Chill would be the third pair up. So let's get into the results. So as with the other 2 videos that I've done, I did leave each of these polls up for one day. I feel like that's enough time to get like a good chunk of votes in without it being up for so long that it kind of becomes boring. So first was the My Scene versus Bratz poll. 856 of you guys voted, and this was not even close. With 77% of the vote, Bratz gets to move on to the next round, which I mean, if you couldn't tell from me introducing the contestants for today, I definitely agree with. I just don't think that my scene has that something something with this like head-to-head lineup specifically. There are other lines from my scene that I think are absolutely incredible. I just don't think this one stood out the same way that Bratz Wintertime Wonderland did. So like I do feel a little bit vindicated. Obviously, you guys agreed with my assessment of my scene here. So yeah, Bratz is going to move on to round 2. The next poll was Rainbow High versus Mermaze, and this was another one that y'all felt very strongly about, was not super, super close. 1,000 of y'all voted, and 75% of you said that Rainbow High's winter break should move on, which unfortunately does mean that Mermaze is getting kicked. And I am a little bit sad about this one. Like, objectively speaking, looking at it, yes, like Rainbow High probably is better, especially given the fact that they did come with 2 entire outfits. And like during this period of Rainbow High, they were very much known for being quite high quality dolls for like a playline level. So I understand why this is the case, especially since, like, as I sort of discussed, Mermaze had a rocky start, I guess you might say. And while I do think that the vast majority of people would agree that Winter Waves was a step up from the original, I think that when Winter Waves came out, because it was only the second lineup, like there wasn't the same degree of love for the brand that there was for Rainbow High when Winter Break came out, if that makes sense. Like Winter Break was also a pretty early line, but I just feel like Rainbow High was so successful right out the gate that like they were just in a better state. So all of that to say, I understand why this is the case. I personally would have voted for Mermaids just because I am a sucker for mermaids. I love mermaids, and like I'm so picky with my mermaid dolls, so it's very hard for me to find ones that I actually genuinely love, and when I do, I love them. So I would have liked to have seen some love for the mermaids, but I understand it. And then for the last round of round 1, I have got to find a better way to say that. I think the last match of round 1 is like a better way to put it. Anyway, though, it was Ever After High versus LOL OMG. 1,000 of you guys voted, and 64% of you said that Ever After High's Fairest on Ice should move on, so a little bit closer than the other two, but like still pretty obviously a win for Ever After High, which I was super excited to see. I am also feeling very connected to Ever After High right now. And also in the previous 2 tournament videos that we've done, they have gotten booted round 1. Like they've just not had a good showing in the last couple of theme tournaments that we've done. So it was kind of nice to get to see them have a win in this regard. Like obviously they're only moving up to round 2. I'm not going to tell you what happens next, but it's just nice to see them get to have a win. And I do think that they are objectively better. Like, I can understand if some of you guys like OMG better. I mean, obviously 36% of you did. I can understand like liking them better, or especially I can understand if you like an individual doll better. But I do think as a line, Faery on Ice is just so much more cohesive than Winter Chill. So I think that that might be a lot of why they got to move forward, is because like all of those dolls actually feel very wintry, whereas some of the OMGs maybe not so much. And also they feel like they go together. I don't know. I'm just speculating. It doesn't really matter why. The whole point is Ever After High gets to move on. Now, because I only had 6 contestants in like totality here, that's probably the best way to word it. Instead of having a round 2 where it's like head to head, we had an elimination round. So for this one, I did warn you with the poll. I was like, hey, be careful, this one is different. So I set up all 3 of our second round contestants: Winter Break from Rainbow High, Wintertime Wonderland from Bratz, and Faery on Ice from Ever After High. And I asked you guys to vote on which one you think was the worst, so that we could kick one out and then move on to the final. So 1.3 thousand of you guys voted in this one, so a few more of y'all had opinions. And this one was another very clear winner here. 69% of you guys said that Ever After High was the worst out of these, so they got a win. It didn't last long, but they did get a win. And I think it's fair. Like, I don't think that those are bad dolls at all. Obviously, I praised them earlier in this video, but I do think when you compare it to Rainbow High and Bratz, it just doesn't quite compare. They're not as detailed. I can't speak to the quality because I don't own any of these either, but like, just by appearances alone, I feel like at least Rainbow High for sure was probably better quality, and Bratz also looks like it probably was a little bit better quality. That's not to shit on Ever After High, obviously. Like, I think these are pretty dolls, but I just think going up against these two, it's not really a great comparison. And also, both the Bratz and the Rainbow High lines definitely feel more maybe generalized winter. Like obviously the Rainbow High had sporty outfits, but they also had more casual outfits, whereas Ever After High is very obviously figure skating themed. So I wonder if maybe that held them back a little bit, because maybe in like a figure skating tournament, they would do a lot better, but like a winter tournament, they just don't have the same vibes. Again, just speculating, but yeah, they get kicked out, which means that we are moving on to the final poll for today's video. I asked you guys, which is better, Rainbow High's Winter Break or Bratz's Wintertime Wonderland? And this one was so crazy to watch real time. Y'all will have to let me know in the comments if you were invested in this poll and you were like seeing how it was going, because at first, for like the first little bit, it was neck and neck, literally 50-50 at one point when I checked the results. Like, it was so fun to watch this ebb and flow and like see what was happening, just because it was so close that it was like kind of exciting to follow. But 1,000 of you guys voted on this, and in the end, it definitely wasn't as close as it could have been. 62% of you said that the Bratz Wintertime Wonderland line was the best out of the two, which means that we are crowning them the best winter-themed doll line. And this one I do agree with. Again, I think a lot of it is just the Bratz bias that I currently have, but there is just something about that line. I feel like Bratz winter lines in general are quite beloved by the fandom. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't understand what is up with Bratz and doing so well with their winter and like campfire like sort of lines too. They just do so well with these for no reason at all. So obviously, like, I think Rainbow High had a very strong showing as well, and clearly so many of you guys did as well, because again, this was literally 50-50 for a while. But Bratz just has like a spark. There's just something weird that like you can't quite describe about the Bratz dolls, at least to me, that makes them feel really, really extra special. So I do love Winter Break from Rainbow High, but I am kind of glad that the Wintertime Wonderland girlies won. But yes, guys, that is going to be it for today's tournament. This one was a really, really fun one for me. I think like the first two, we had some Monster High entries, and like I love Monster High, okay? Obviously, I'm a huge, huge Monster High person, but I think the nostalgia around specifically Gen 1 of Monster High really influenced those first two tournaments to the point where it didn't necessarily feel quite as fair. So it didn't feel quite as exciting. Like, I still was super hyped to do this videos. I think this is just such a fun format to do, but I do think that it felt a little bit like, okay, well, yeah, obviously Monster High is going to do super well. Whereas this one, I really didn't know how things were going to go for a lot of these polls, which it was just fun to get to have that suspense. So I had tons of fun doing the winter theme. I hope you guys did enjoy as well. Thank you to everyone who voted. I don't know. I think maybe we're going to do like a Hollywood theme next. I think that might be the vibe, or perhaps we'll do like a party, like prom, like formal, that sort of situation. I haven't quite decided yet. I guess let me know in the comments what you want to see the most, or if you have any other ideas for themes that we can do this for. I am loving doing these videos. I know they're not necessarily like the most popular content that I put out, but I'm having so much fun with them. So I can't stop. I hope that you guys will put up with me. So definitely leave your feedback in the comments down below. But that's going to be it for me for today, guys. I hope you did enjoy. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night, or whatever it might be. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.